All right. It's 6 o'clock on a Thursday. I'm sorry for my hair. Don't even notice that till I get on. Hi. If it's your first time in the channel, welcome. We make videos on everything that has to do. My name's Bruce Clark. We make everything videos on everything to do with Southern California. What it's like to live here, work here, play here, own a home here. We've got a ton of videos that we're putting together. So certainly stay with us. Hi, my name is Bruce Clark. I'm a professional real estate agent and help people buy, sell, relocate to Southern California, relocate to other areas. So if you like these videos, do us a favor, hit the subscribe button, click the bell for notification. We'd love to notify you the next time we have any of our videos come up and upload. And also do us a favor, hit the like button so we can know that you like our videos. Let us know what you do and don't like, and share with us what's going on in your market. So we appreciate you joining us. So tonight we're going to be talking about real estate and inflation and affordability. I wanted to touch on something that happened today in the U.S. stock market, and that was Disney. Disney took a big hit, and the reason they took a big hit, they're losing subscribers on their Disney Plus. We have a lot of streaming services, Hulu and Philo. You've got, of course, YouTube, Netflix. We like PureFlix. It's a Christian, it's wholesome programming. So we don't, it's a choice of ours. But you've got so many different streaming services that people just, at some point, you just say, no, you can't continue. And I'm going to come back to that in a second because it does have to do with disposable income. But what we're seeing right now in the stock market, I believe, is a rotation, and that's a term that we use when there's certain sectors that are going to be in favor, certain going to be out of favor. You rotate in, rotate out. So right now we know, for example, that the military industrial complex. Now, I'm a former Marine, so Marine veteran. I'm a Marine veteran, so. I participated in that military industrial complex, but it's a very profitable complex, especially right now. We have a war going on and we're helping in Ukraine. We're sending a ton of stuff. Who knows what's going to happen in the rest of the world? But there are, that's a sector right now that's been doing extremely well because they're producing a lot of materials. So it's rotation. During COVID, we saw, of course, healthcare, hospitals, things like that. We're seeing it's probably still in play. So much money being pumped in, with big pharma and all that. And this is not political. I don't want to talk political, but there just is. There's still a lot of money. There's vaccines being required. The prices of those have gone up. We all know that. Home test kits for COVID, they've gone up a lot. So that industry has been doing very well. So have the military industrial complex, quote unquote, stocks. But what we saw with Disney, what's interesting is Disney's doing better at their parks. And the parks are enormously expensive. Goodness gracious. No matter how much fun you have at them, and to be honest, they're really not that much fun anymore. And the lines are super long. You're going to ride a few rides. That's it. So we love taking our kids to Knott's Berry Farm and water parks and the beach. We're here, we have the ocean. So, but the parks are doing better. And they have it's not just the entry to the parks, it's everything else. You've got the food and you've got all the gifts and it's, you can easily spend $250 to $300 a person, easily. Depending on what you're eating, drinking, what you're buying, that's not difficult. Then of course you've got your room, board, flights, et cetera, et cetera. So very expensive. So, but that's doing better. The airlines seem like they've recovered. They still have some more ways to go. It seems like we've seen a nice recovery in hospitality. They've been doing well. What we're not seeing is in commercial real estate and some others, office space. But we'll come back to that. But let's get back to the Disney and disposable income. It's really the heart of, I think, what we're seeing. So the consumer price index is up. Inflation is up. This reported inflation went up 1/20th, or basically a point over last month. So inflation is up, And I think it's pretty common sense. When you go to the market, when you go to fill up, it's more expensive. Heating oil, heating fuels, a lot more expensive. It's just it's most of the cost. Housing's not gotten less expensive. Of course, interest rates are up. So, um, so again, inflation, cost of goods, affordability of housing has dropped to almost 20% according to the St. Louis Fed. Pretty big drop. And I'll come back to that in a second. But the effect on Disney, on the streaming, is the competition is so fierce that a lot of people are going to go with whether to Peacock or the YouTube streaming or Netflix or whatever. They're probably not going to then also go with a streaming service such as Hulu or Disney. And Disney, I think, is bundling Hulu, which would be interesting to see how that plays. So they're losing subscribers, not only here, but they're losing subscribers over in Asia and India, I believe, is where I saw a pretty big drop. Disposable income, again, we've seen it drop. And my personal take is that that's a direct effect of affordability, of inflation, things like that. And it's simple. Disposable income is your gross, and your taxes, living expenses deducted out, and you have your net number, and whatever's left is quote unquote disposable income. Of course, that doesn't touch on what you need to put away for retirement and things like that. So if you make $9,000, you have $7,500 in bills per month, and $1,500 is quote unquote disposable. I know that Apple's been doing well. And that's always befuddled me because the premium prices, it's enormous. Apple's sitting on something like $300-400 billion of cash. The margins are exceptional. And I've never wanted to pay the vig, so to speak, or to pay for that additional. And I have a Samsung, and my wife has an Apple and an iPhone, and our daughter Savannah has an iPhone. And she got her phone back after 2 years. Congratulations, Savannah. But the cost is that premium is enormous. Same thing with an iPad. Same thing, with all of that, the earbuds and all that. So I'm very intrigued though about people that buy into the ecosystem and stay with that ecosystem and really don't deviate. You've got iCloud. You've got the iTunes. It's very interesting to me how someone just stays in that. And if you're an iPhone lover, an iFan, an Apple fan, I think Apple fanboys, whatever they call them, let me know. I've had Motorola's and LG's and on, so it's always going to get. I think Microsoft, the Windows. I thought that was going to be interesting. I've had a BlackBerry. Love the QNX. I always thought that Musk should buy BlackBerry for the QNX operating system. Come out with his own phone. So that is for another day. It's definitely the geek in me talking, but really cool operating system, super secure. So let me get back again. I digress. So disposable income. So all of that factors into affordability. Now, I was reading that we're spending 28 to 36% of our income on disposable income on housing. I believe that's low. Now, 36% out in California is very low. I've heard we're seeing over 50%. And that doesn't surprise me. Typically, what we do when we look to help someone lease a property is we're looking for 2.5 to 3 times the income. So if you're looking to lease something at $4,000 a month, then you have to have an income of $10,000. That's kind of a rule of thumb. And what's interesting is that's proved to be a pretty reliable rule of thumb. So you can't make, of course, 1.5 times. It would be tough to lease to someone at $4,000 a month if they're making $5,000 a month, because it doesn't leave any room for any slippage, so to speak, in income or expenditures. So all of that is factoring in to today. Affordability. The Fed is reporting affordability has dropped over 20%. I still think that's low. We are seeing we had an offer on a property in Riverside that had 39 offers, and at some point you just advise the clients that it's a number that they probably aren't comfortable with. It's a number that as real estate agents, as the advisor to the consultant, so to speak, that's a number that becomes very untenable for some. There are situations where someone wants to pay a certain amount, a much higher amount for a certain home because of location, could be emotional, could be, there's various reasons, but we're still seeing a lot of activity in the price ranges under, well, really not all price ranges, but under $1 million. That's a lot. But what's driving the market still are going to be interest rates, and it's going to be the inventory. We have not seen that big of a change yet in inventory. However, and this is interesting, Invitation Homes, which was the largest buyer of single-family homes to rent out, has decided, and they're a spinoff from Goldman Sachs, the investment firm. A lot of their homes are now coming to market. Now, I don't know if that is a definitive business shift, if the business model, if they're going to unwind Invitation Homes fully. Frankly, don't know. That's not something I think I'd be privy to at this point. They're a public company, so we'll look at 10Qs, 10Ks, 8Ks, all those fun things. But from appreciation standpoint, they've done very well. So if you bought it 500,000, can sell 700,000. That's a lot less risk than leasing properties out. Here's what's happening. Let me touch on something that's happening in Los Angeles County. Los Angeles County has extended the no eviction moratorium. That's big. I have great compassion, sympathy, and empathy for people that are going through financial difficulties. I think everybody at some point, most everyone has needed a little boost, so to speak. Could be from mom and dad. It could be from all kinds of different places. But what we're seeing is an abuse of the system by some. And I know someone, in fact, that owns a couple homes, and they're losing on about $8,000 a month income from people that definitely can afford it. They're out buying new cars. They know they don't have to. They're not forced to pay now. It could come down to moral suasion, ethical. But at some point, all that money is going to be due. However, the thought is that people just aren't going to be able to pay all that back money. I think the average was like $50,000. And the reason I'm saying this is because that person is losing $8,000 a month income, still has to pay the mortgage, still has to pay the property taxes, still has to pay for the maintenance. So it's going to be interesting to see how LA County and San Francisco, we talked about in the last video, in fact, a couple of videos, how San Francisco is getting just absolutely decimated, just crushed by this horrid governance. It's terrible. I mean, you got $300 million buildings they can't even give away for $50 million right now. Buildings that were 2 years ago was estimated $300 million. And so the effect is going to be much lower revenue. So you have less money for services, all those things. And if you don't have people that are earning a good income willing to go into areas, then by default those areas are going to atrophy. And so they'll decline. It's inevitable. We're seeing it in real time in Portland and in Seattle, and certainly Los Angeles is seeing it. 777 Figueroa right now. It's in BK. It's in default. Sorry, it's in default. But really, I think the tip of the spear, so to speak, is San Francisco. So everybody's watching what those valuations are going to be, because what happens in real estate when something sells, then it establishes then a comparison. Use it for sales, use it for evaluations. It could be that a property was leased and it was leased for $2.35 a square foot triple net, which they basically take care, the tenant pays most everything. The property could have leased for $5 a square foot 2 years ago. Now it's $2.35, and they might be down to $1.65 a square foot. Don't know. These are just hypothetical. The problem is, if you were at $5, now you're $1.65. You're down 2/3, and that's what we're seeing. What we're seeing is just severe decline in the income, severe decline in valuations, which makes sense. I had a great talk yesterday with a wonderful gentleman client, and he was talking about putting money into real estate. He's got real estate investments. He was talking about putting more. But what he's doing right now, and it's a couple things. One is to get a 5% cap. Gosh, you can get 5% at the bank. So why take the risk? It comes full circle with what's happening in LA and San Francisco, et cetera. So why take the risk to get a 5% capitalization rate or cap rate? Basically, think of it as return or yield on the bond. Why take that risk when you can put your money in the bank with no risk and get 5%? That's what we're seeing in real estate. So prices are going to have to come down for investors to really stimulate them buying. The value is going to be in the value adds. It's going to be taking a property and adding value. Could be adding second level, could be expanding the home, could be upgrading the home, updating the home, could be as simple as phenomenal maintenance on the yard. You might in an entertainer's backyard. Could be adding an accessory dwelling unit, 2 accessory dwelling units, a junior accessory dwelling unit. There's a lot of things that go into this, and this is something that we're very familiar with. What's interesting is this week we were helping people with some repairs on the home. We use our handyman, and then HVAC and electrician. We brought in plumbers. We've got people. We helped someone that had questions about adding a charger to a rental property. We had someone from another country reach out that we've dealt with, and they have some properties here, and they ask about who's responsible when a property is damaged and it's the tenant doesn't notify the owner for an extended period of time. All of these things are something that a good real estate agent provides. It's a service. So it's not just that we're here to help you buy, sell. We're not property managers. I might get into property management. It's interesting, but we're there to help flesh out a lot of suggestions and ideas and where to go for certain resources. And so we have those resources, attorneys, CPAs, and all kinds of things, doctors. So that's something we've enjoyed doing. And I just wanted to touch on that because I think that's interesting sometimes, that perspective of a real estate agent, or certainly the way that people see real estate agents is we're here just to help you buy, sell. You'll never hear from us again. And a good real estate agent could be nothing further from the truth, because we're there constantly. And again, something we thoroughly enjoy. Inflation. If inflation continues ticking up, by default, the Fed is going to have to increase the rates. That's going to be huge for the commercial. Not as much for the residential. What's happening, we're seeing a 40-year, the FHA has a 40-year mortgage for loan modification. I think they're going to come out with a 40-year loan. We'll probably see a 50-year. I think Canada has it, and some other countries. We've got a lot of down payment assistance programs. I looked today, and one property has 28. There's up to $200,000 of potential grants, loans, buy downs, et cetera. It's really cool. We have some sellers in some areas that are willing to participate, but this market a little less than we've seen in the past. So, but the affordability, the inflation is probably the biggest bugaboo right now, because that's going to drive the Fed's decision about interest rates. And this is not something we had in 2006 to 2008. We didn't have this level of inflation. We just didn't. And I've always thought that this was one lever less for the Fed to have available. We're also seeing all the stimulus money. We saw the TARP money. That was huge. The stimulus and on this new Green Deal is becoming uber expensive. And I touch on that because that factors right into what we're seeing with the consumer price index, which has to do with how you figure out inflation. Fuel oil, all the electrical cost, heating cost, astronomical. When you look at the graphs from the St. Louis Fed, it's just it's unbelievable. And so I don't I don't see that changing now. For real estate, what can you do? Real estate's traditionally seen as a hedge against inflation. If you can get into a home, if you can add value, it's still a good deal. If it's a home that you must have, you love the school, you love the home, you love the floor plan, might not be the perfect price, might not be the perfect rate, but it's still long term. Real estate is a great investment. Um, I forget basically you've talked about that you kind of date the rate that you marry the home, and that's kind of interesting. But somebody else talked about it, and basically it's that the finance rate will change over time, and it will, in all likelihood, a year, maybe two, maybe three, we'll see an adjustment in the rate. Now, we talked last week about refinancing. Before you refinance, consider all the ups and downs of refinancing. You go from a non-recourse to a recourse loan. You reset the clock. You reset the amortization schedule or table. It might be schedule. It might be that if you're 9 years in, it might not make sense to refinance because you've been starting to pay down principal. But if you're a year or two in, might make sense. So there's a lot of factors that weigh in before making decisions such as that. We have wonderful lenders reach out to us. I see we're at 21 minutes. I appreciate you joining us. It's a beautiful Thursday in Southern California, and gosh, I'd love to answer any questions for you. So whether you're looking to make a move in the next 5 days, 50 days, further out, give me a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. We'd love to help you make a smooth move to beautiful Southern California. If you're looking to move from Southern California somewhere else, we'd love to work with you there also. Bruce Clark, Coldwell Banker. Have a great evening.